right, what is up, everybody? Welcome to another Sunday morning last-minute NFL betting live stream with myself, Matt, aka the Jedi, and then joined with me, as always, every Sunday, Andrew Kim, aka the ParlayDoc. Andrew, how we doing?
Good, man. It's been a busy week of travel for my actual job this week, but I'm glad to be back here in the Chicago area. So, how you doing, man?
I'm good. We had a Friendsgiving at our place last night, which was fun because we're gonna be out for actual Thanksgiving. So we basically tried to do what we could with not with it not being on the actual Thanksgiving day, but we had some friends over. Watched some Harry Potter. Obviously, it was a good time, but ready to dive into some degeneracy. That's for sure.
All right, man. I'm excited.
All right, first game up. One of the stink fests of the slate. I feel like every single week we come in here and say this, but the games have, that's just what it is this year. There are a lot of bad teams,
a
lot of injured quarterbacks, a lot of low totals. So a lot of these games are stink fests. This is one of them. Cowboys, Panthers. What do you got in this one?
Oh, man. It's a large spread. And I guess my one concern is, are the Cowboys going to be lulled with no motivation after a huge steamroll of a game last time? So, God, I would lean Cowboys -10, but I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit on the Cowboys team total so that I don't even have to worry about if they're going to be sharp on both sides of the ball, but I'm going to go team total over 26.5 on Rivers at -114 as a little bit of a sprinkle there. And then I know this is not widely selectable right now, but I would keep your eyes open for Rico Dowdle. But you have, it's kind of a, I don't know, in my opinion, a little bit of a ghetto kind of book. But if you take Bet Openly and you take Rico Dowdle, you can get him at over 25.5 rushing yards. So that's not going to show up on my Pickett picks because I don't even know you can really sync it with Bet Openly.
Yeah.
So, but I am going to take a little taste of Rico Dowdle over 25.5 rushing yards on Bet Openly. That's such a low line. And I do think the Cowboys are going to run. And to me, Dowdle has proven that he's a little bit more explosive. It's just a matter of will he get the touches versus Pollard. Pollard just has been kind of a letdown when he's kind of the premier back. And I think we've talked about it. I know he's not your traditional north-south running back, and he's a little bit more versatile. But I think this is a game where you can just go north-south against the Panthers team that's probably not stout in run defense.
Yeah.
So I hope it opens up at other books so more people can use it. But if you have Bet Openly, I'm going to take the Rico Dowdle over 25.5 rushing. That's so low that I think you have to take that against the Panthers team. So that's what I got on the Cowboys game. So
yeah. Tony Pollard's been super disappointing. I was on him to have a blow up game last week, and he was terrible once again. So he's kind of just on my no bet list. Rico Dowdle, I like. Could I interest you in some Rico Dowdle anytime touchdown? Because it seems like Tony Pollard is just allergic to the end zone.
Yeah, I live bet Rico Dowdle a few times last game. So yeah, you can sway me to that because I'm already on his rushing. So yeah, I could be sold on that.
It wasn't my pick. Just something to think about. I am on the Cowboys -10.5. It's possible that they just stop steamrolling all these bad opponents, but when you look at their record and their margins of victory, every single game they've won, except for a 3-point victory against the Chargers, they have won by 20 plus. When they're better than teams, they just annihilate them. They're the ultimate running up the score front runners. They can't beat a good team, but they can beat bad teams better than anybody. And I think the Panthers are the worst team in the NFL. Maybe you could say the Giants with Tommy DeVito at quarterback.
Yeah, don't diss Danny DeVito. Come on.
But I think the Panthers are the worst team in the NFL. I think they are a train wreck. They didn't score a single offensive touchdown against the Bears last week, and the Bears defense has been better over as the season has gone on. But they're not the Cowboys.
But they still suck. Honestly.
Yeah, and they're not the Cowboys. And then Frank Reich, he was playing calling at the beginning of the year, and then he gave it up to his OC. Now he's taking it back. It's just a team that's in total train wreck, chaos, disarray. And the Cowboys love annihilating these opponents. And 10.5, I was expecting this to be closer to 17 like it was last week. It was literally 17.5 against the Giants last week. And you cannot convince me that the Panthers are 7 points better just from a pregame line perspective than the Cowboys. So I just took them straight up -10.5. I got it at -102 at Sport Trade. That's only available in Colorado or New Jersey. If you are in those states, I definitely recommend downloading Sport Trade. But if not, it's last I checked was minus 108 at DraftKings.
Gotcha.
We can think about Rico Dowdle when we get into our part of the night.
Sounds good.
Next up, Steelers versus Browns, another crap fest. I'm just taking the Steelers straight up. Steelers money line plus 112 at FanDuel. Why is DTR favored against the Steelers? We saw him play football and he was terrible. And maybe he's better. Maybe he's better after having one game under his belt. Maybe he's also just a bad quarterback. Like, he was clearly unprepared for that game. And I know people made the argument that, if you remember, Deshaun Watson, that was when he first injured his shoulder.
Yeah.
There was no reports that he was going to miss the game. And then he was like a surprise inactive. So maybe DTR just literally wasn't prepared and he'll be better. I'm not buying it. He's still a rookie against a really good Steelers defense. And we see the Steelers win these games that they have no business winning. And they might have some business winning this game because it's against Dorian Thompson Robinson. So I just like the Steelers straight up plus 112 at FanDuel. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a brutally ugly game. So I do would just have more faith in Tomlin and the Steelers. So I do lean Steelers. The total is so damn low. I don't. Yeah. It's gonna be it's gonna be low. So I actually
34.5.
Yeah. I don't mind teasing it a little bit. So I am gonna, I like Steelers for some totals action. I'm gonna tease that and take under 42.5. I already kind of naturally like the under of where it's at in the Jags-Titans game. So I'm actually going to tease that up just a little bit and tease up this under quite a bit. So I'm going to go under 42.5 in both games. This game, Steelers-Browns and Jags-Titans for a healthy plus 105. So I'm going to get plus money. And I like the unders in both. I already kind of like the under where it is right now in the other one. So I'm going to tease up this one a little bit more. But under 42.5 in both games, this one and the Jags-Titans plus 105. I do like the Steelers. One player prop I do have on this one is Myles Garrett. It's really weird. You have to be careful here. The way you read FanDuel, you got to read the fine print. Under defensive props, it'll say Myles Garrett to record a sack. But when you read the fine print in the header, it actually says half a sack will count as a win. So really, you're betting on Myles Garrett to get half a sack. So even if he gets partial credit for half, it will count as a win. So it's not even over half. It's just half a sack. So half a sack, even though it says record a sack on FanDuel, is minus 170. And again, I know the naysayers are going to say, oh, it's so juiced. But again, look, 1.5, 1, 2, none, 1, 3.5, none, 1, 1. So he has not gotten this in just 2 games. Every other game this season, he's gotten. Well, I'm sorry, one of them was from last season, but basically in 2 games out of this entire season, he's gotten over half a sack. So minus 170 in a brutally ugly game. I do think there's some O-line issues on the Steelers side where he might be facing some noobs. So to get half, even though it's minus 170, even though it's not even technically positive EV, I think there's value built in there. So I am going to take Myles Garrett to get at least half a sack on FanDuel.
I like it. Kenny Pickett loved getting sacked.
Exactly. And he's a great person to get sacked in a scenario like this. So
yeah, I like it. All right. Next game, your Bears versus the Lions. What do you got in this one?
I am not betting the spread. I already told you. I've been burned too many times picking the wrong games. Here's the problem. The Bears, they do not like their few victories have been against pretty much crap teams.
Commanders, Panthers, and is that it? Or have they won another one?
One more, I think. I can't even remember who. I don't even care at this point. And this is the feeling in Chicagoland. It's just on their schedule, like the Lions are going to be one of the few like top 5 teams that they're going to be playing in the remainder of their schedule. And I don't have faith that they can beat or cover per se, but I also know that, look, Justin Fields is coming back. I have no clue what he's going to look like. He's still got maybe some thumb issues. He's been very coy about it. And I don't know how much he's going to throw even, but I'll assume he's healthy. And I'm also going to assume that his job's on the line. This morning, Ian Rappaport came out saying Bears are going to be open to taking a quarterback if they are quote unquote blown away. But look, this late in the college season, you're either blown away or you're not. So to even put that out there means they have some intrigue in a quarterback. Okay. So Justin Fields is basically the last 7 games. This is prove it that we should keep you or we're going to move on and pick a high draft quarterback, whether it's Bo Nix, Penix. Please don't take Caleb Williams, in my opinion.
Not a Caleb Williams guy?
No, I am not a Caleb Williams. I hope we take Nix or Penix. One of the two.
Drake May. What about the guy from UNC?
I'll take Drake May. I'd rather take someone who I think has a higher projection down the road. But yeah, probably right now, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, Caleb Williams probably is better overall right now, but I'm not impressed by the intangibles by Caleb Williams, put it that way. So I don't know. I'm hoping Fields is going to come and ball out, but I know nothing at this point with the Bears because they're just horrible. But here's what I'm going to do. Props. I did sprinkle on Montgomery over 51.5 rushing yards at -113 on Rivers. I know Gibbs was getting, I was surprised how much Gibbs was getting fed with Monty back last week. But again, this is against the Bears. I have a feeling Monty wants to have a strong game versus the Bears. I know what everyone's going to say. Oh my God, the Bears DVOA for rush defense has gone up so much. But you know what? The Bears suck. Okay, guys. So analytics are one thing and the eye test is another. I'm going to trust my eye test that they will wear down the Bears front line on D. And Montgomery should be able to get over 51.5 rushing yards, even with split work with Gibbs, because I think he wants to stick it to them, honestly. I do think there's a little bit of sourness there, and I think Monty's going to have a decent game. I'm also going to take Justin Fields over 44.5 rushing yards, -110 on BetMGM. Look, the Lions are going to put a lot of pressure on Fields, and I still don't know he can get past the first progression very well in his passing game when he's in the pocket. But the Lions also have, I looked at this weird stat. It was like over 60 missed potential sacks. So they can get pressure.
Wow.
They're also not good at finishing. And so Fields is a guy who can get away from that pressure. So I will take Justin Fields with a thumb issue with a Lions team that will make him scramble over 44.5 rushing yards. So 2 rushing props, Montgomery and Justin Fields.
Sure. I actually, if I don't have anything on this, I would actually say the Bears cover. I think I think that they could keep it at least within a touchdown. And you can get +8 at some places.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
So I have one of my just strictly mainline, or for a player prop mainline is Jahmyr Gibbs over receiving yards. It was I got it at 23.5. I think it's up to 25.5 now. That's nice. Why I was delaying a little bit just to check. Yeah, it's 25.5 at most places. You can get it at -110 at ESPN Bet, which is a really good price. Like everywhere else, it's -120, -130. I do believe in the notion that the Bears rushing defense is better than it was at the beginning of the year. So I mean, 51.5 is not a lot of yards. So I'm not saying that Monty's going to go under, but I do think that they're going to use Jahmyr Gibbs more. And he's just been so electric recently.
Yeah. He's on fire.
Yeah. So I think they're going to keep using him in the passing game. I also like DJ Moore. So I laddered him both with receiving yards and receptions, basically hoping that if one, like he has a couple deep plays or he just gets force fed. It's easy to forget because it happened so long ago and so much has happened since, but DJ Moore blew up the 2 games prior to Justin Fields getting injured against the Commanders and against the Broncos. Absolutely blew up, just took off. And then Justin Fields got hurt. So you hope that Justin Fields remembers, oh, we have success on offense when I feed an electric, incredible receiver.
You would hope so.
You would hope so. You don't know. Yeah. It's a risk. It's a risk, obviously. Yeah. Anybody that's telling you that they're taking a laddered up player prop is without risk is a liar anyways.
Yeah.
But just in terms of the game flow in the matchup, the Lions are very good against the run, but they have some secondary issues and they can be had through the air. Yeah. And the Bears are probably going to need to pass the entire game. So I think that I hope that they need to pass a lot. Justin Fields just hyper targets DJ Moore, kind of realizing this is how I can save my job and this is how we can have success. So like I said, I took both 100. I laddered him up to 100 yards and I think 9 receptions is what the most that FanDuel offered. Wow. No other book will even let you ladder receptions. So that's what I have for the Bears. Next up, Chargers versus Packers. I just took the Chargers money line straight up so I got it earlier in the week at -132, which is a huge CLVW there. Right now, it's best offered on Sport Trade at -150. The Chargers, I mean, they're always, it's always scary backing the Chargers, but they've sneakily been on a roll. They've won a couple straight and they haven't looked terrible. They haven't done the classic Chargers thing. I also just think Jordan Love is terrible. I think he's total trash. I think that the Packers are total trash, and I think that the Chargers just keep on winning. So I kept it simple with this one. I just took the Chargers straight up. What do you got?
Yeah, I don't blame you. I kept another one that's very simple mainline. I don't have any faith in any props, just with all the injuries that the Chargers have, with their receiver core, Packers just being the Packers, but the Chargers are also the Chargers on defense, and the Packers are playing at home. So I'm taking a little stab at some faith in points on over 43.5. So if there's any goddamn game the Packers can put up some points, I would hope it would be this game, because most teams have demonstrated they can score on the Chargers. So, and I do think the Chargers can keep moving the ball because Herbert has a cannon and he will throw to anybody. As long as you're open and you can catch with your two hands, he will help out his receivers, even if they're third stringers. So I'm going to roll with over 43.5, -120 on ESPN bet. But yeah, team-wise, I think the Chargers will eke out a win against the Packers, who have shown us basically nothing. So
yeah, I just think the Packers are trash.
They are.
Yeah, I was close. I wanted to look at Austin Eckler, but like the Packers are really bad against the run. So I was like, maybe it's a rushing game for Eckler, but they love using him out of the backfield. So I ended up earlier in the week, I took his over receptions, but the line kind of got nuked since then. So it's not an official play or anything. But yeah, I wanted to do something with Austin Eckler. I just, nothing really stuck out to me, and so I didn't want to risk it. Moving on, next game, Cardinals versus Texans. What do you got in this one?
I feel strongly, and I don't know, man. I'm confused because even here in Chicagoland, everything on the radio, all the so-called radio personalities and the sharp guests they bring on, yeah, I understand it. I understand the numerical value, and a lot of people are showing Cardinals love. And what I'm not even concerned about the numbers and betting. Like, I get sharpness and value and positive EV. I get all that, but everyone keeps talking about Kyler Murray like he's the second coming of the Messiah suddenly. And I'm just very confused, because before he got injured during his long layoff, my recollection is he was
everybody hated him.
He's hot garbage. Okay.
Yeah.
And suddenly, I don't know if he just had some kind of transformation or he had some metamorphosis, but so yeah, he looked okay. But I don't think he's the second coming of the next version of himself. So I don't know. I'm going to keep this very simple. This is, to me, is a no-brainer. Texans at home. I'm going to smash that -5.5. And I'm not even going to sprinkle this one. I'm just going to take a full on. I'm going to bet like $55 on this to 150. I'm not even going to do this $10, $5 thing. I'm just going to take Texans to cover the spread. I know the Texans have burned me. I know they've had trouble covering spreads. Their defense has fallen off a cliff. They can't stop anybody, but they will score, and they will score on this Cardinals team. So I have faith that they will pull away somehow and cover -5.5, -110 on my beloved sarcasm points bet. So,
oh God, points bet.
I know.
Yeah, I don't have anything on the spread. I like the over. You can get it over 47.5, both at FanDuel and ESPN bet at -115. I think both these teams are going to score. I'm not super confident that the Texans are going to cover the spread, because with the young team, with the bad defense, it just makes me nervous. But I do like the over. I did take that earlier in the week. And this is another, I have a player prop as well. Another pumped up prop. And I have Tank Dell, 100 plus receiving yards. It's my juiciest one of the slate by far, except for the degeneracy at the end, but that doesn't count. It's plus 550 at Caesars.
Ooh, wow.
I think he has, in this game in general, I think it's just going to be points galore. It's the highest over under of the week. I still think it's going to go over even that number. With the Texans, like Nico Collins missed last week and is banged up, but he said he's playing. And I think that it might be confirmed that he is playing. But Noah Brown is confirmed out. Even Dalton Schultz is probably going to play, is banged up. And I just think that Tank Dell is going to have an absolute explosion game in this one. CJ Stroud's awesome. Tank Dell's awesome. Tank Dell's had 2 blow-up games this year, 145 against the Jags, 114 against the Bucks 2 weeks ago. Last week, he had a minor down game, but he still had 14 targets, and that was against a good Bengals defense. Now they're playing the Cardinals, who have the 3rd worst passing defense in the NFL. They also have, looking even more granular at DVOA, they're the literal worst team in the NFL at guarding opposing offense's number one receiver. They're literally dead last. Now, you could make the argument that that's going to be Nico Collins and not Tank Dell. I don't know. I don't necessarily know that that's the case. And even if it is, they're still a bad defense regardless. He's still going to have a plus matchup. So I love Tank Dell. I think he's going to have a great game. It might not come in yards. It might come in 2 touchdowns, but for plus 550 odds, like I just thought the value was awesome on him having an explosion game. So that's what I went with.
So just like you pulled that audible with me, here's an audible as you were talking.
Yeah.
What do you think, you and the audience? Highest scoring game on Sunday. Cardinals Texans right now is at plus 500. And then I'll give you the couple, yeah, and I'll give you the couple behind it where I can understand, but I can also make a counterpoint that I don't think the other one should be as close. Right under them is plus 600, Bears Lions. I get it, but I don't think it's going to be as high as Texans Cardinals because
I agree because the Lions at least have a good defense.
Lions have a decent defense, and like you said, I trashed it, but the Bears have an okay run defense that has gotten much better. It's been top 5 or top 7 or something in the last few games. So I think there will be stops in that game. That I don't see that outpacing Cardinals Texans. I just don't see that.
And it is Justin Fields' first game back from a broken or dislocated thumb. Like he could not be ready yet. So I love that. I mean, for plus 500, I locked that in as you were talking. I put a half minute on that. I absolutely love it. It did not take much convincing for me to lock that one in.
And then lastly, I'll be quick here. Dolphins Raiders, I get it. I mean, the Dolphins can drop 70 on anybody. I don't think they're going to drop 70 in a game though. In this game. So I don't know. 500 seems like good value for Texans Cardinals. So I
got the highest over under of the week. If you just bet that the game with the highest over under is the highest scoring game,
I'm rolling.
For plus 500. Yeah, that's really good.
On that.
That was a good find. Good find.
Let's go.
All right. Next up, Titans Jags. What do you got?
Oh God! If you're gonna go straight up, I'm like I said, I already put it in a teaser with that.
You mentioned this,
round, but I don't mind you going under 39.5. I think it's going to be a slog. Even though the Jags have a decent run D, I don't think the Titans are going to stray from the run. I really don't. And as much as I do think Levis might have a decent future, I don't see Vrabel loosening the chain to be like go buck wild, man. So I think they're going to stick with the run. The Jags have really struggled in the red zone, so I do think there's going to be stops. I think this is going to be a field goal fest. I probably should have looked at field goal props or kicker props, but my main play would be under 39.5. And the only thing I'm wondering about is should I roll with Derrick Henry? I don't know because historically he has feasted on the Jags, but the Jags run D isn't bad this year. But man, if you look at some of his past performances against the Jags in recent years, I mean, he is like destroyed them. But this is a different Titans team this year, so I don't know. So I'm going to debate if I want to even dabble in Henry, but for now I'm just sticking with the under 39.5. But also I teased it up to under 42.5 in my other teaser parlay. So
I just like the Jags minus 6.5. It's a straight up mainline play on the spread. It's minus 113 at Sport Trade, minus 115 pretty much everywhere else. I think that we were a little too quick to crown Will Levis because he was just better than Ryan Tannehill, and he actually threw it deep and had success in his first game. And everybody was like, well, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Excuse me. They're 0-2 since that start. And last week, they didn't score an offensive touchdown. They were terrible, just absolutely terrible against the Bucs, who do not have a good defense. And then the Jaguars, their offense is weird and clunky, but their defense is good across the board. If you just look at advanced stats, like their defense is, I think, top 7 in both rushing and passing defense. Let me look it up. So they're 5th in DVOA overall. Yeah, they're 5th against the pass, 6th against the pass, 3rd against the rush, according to DVOA. So pretty good defense. I don't think the Titans are going to have a lot of success. I think it's a get-right game for the Jags after getting blown out by the 49ers last week. So I don't like any props in this one. The Jags offense, I don't trust anybody. The Titans offense, I don't trust anybody. So I just went straight up 6.5 against.
Don't blame you. This is a game where you got to keep it simple. It could be another brutal one. So
yeah. All right. Next up, Raiders Dolphins, who we've talked about. I just like another mainline play. Give me the Dolphins minus 13.5.
Yeah.
It's minus 115 at Sport Trade.
Yep.
Everywhere else, it's minus 14. The Raiders are 2-0. Everybody's excited because Josh McDaniels is out and they've won both their games. But the Dolphins are similar to the Cowboys, and when they play bad teams, their margins of victory is just astronomical. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen today. The Dolphins are down after losing their 2 weeks ago in the bye week where their offense couldn't do anything against the Chiefs. Yeah. So I think it's going to be, like I said, another get-right game this time for the Dolphins.
Yeah, I would say this one is a don't overthink it. I took it at minus 13.5 before it shifted to 14. So if 14, I don't know, but 13.5, keep looking. If you see it go under that half point, I would take Dolphins minus 13.5. And if you lose it, who cares? Honestly, I wouldn't overthink this one. They should cover this, guys. Okay. I never know how to pronounce this. Every radio host says it. Is it Achane or
it's Devon Achane?
Achane. God, everyone says it's so different. Achane. So
he corrected people saying it's Achane. He came out and said that.
Achane over 49.5 rushing yards on Rivers. I think it's around minus one. It's a little juice, minus 123-ish, minus 124 the last time I looked. So I'm just going to assume he's healthy. All the reports out of camp where he's been chomping at the bit to come back play. So it couldn't have been as serious, hopefully. So I do think they probably played it conservative. So I'm making the assumption that he's healthy to play. So to me, the way he looked prior to his injury, 49.5, give it to me. Just give that to me, okay? I know they might split work and most or whatever, but you know what? That's so low. I expect the Dolphins to be up. The only counterpoint would be they're so up they want to preserve his health, right? And then he's pulled. So that is a concern. But I'm just going to roll with it, just go with my gut. My degenerate play of the day is regarding him. So Achane to be the rushing leader of Sunday. This is on DraftKings plus 1,500. Just a tiny sprinkle, guys. I mean, I'm putting a fifth of a unit, so like 0.2 units, so just $10 basically. Okay, so 0.1 unit, whatever. So Achane rushing leader plus 1,500. Let's hope this goes totally south for the Raiders and he breaks off for a couple 40-yard runs or something, and he somehow aggregates 120, 140 rushing yards, and maybe that steers him clear of the pack today. But rushing leader of the day plus 1,500 is my degeneracy.
I like that. I have mine. I was going to save it for the end. My thoughts on Devon Achane is that he's either going to go for like 100 or he's going to have 2 carries. You know what I mean? Like
15 yards. It's going to be one or the two. It's going to be one.
So I almost think it would make more sense to juice his numbers up a little bit above the main line to at least get a little bit better value because I feel like he is a very feast or famine. Like they might just ease him back in and give him 2 carries. We don't know.
Exactly.
The high end of that is he goes for 170 on like 10 carries because he's just electric and it's the Raiders.
Yeah.
All right. So next game, Giants Commanders. I'll just say it. Pass. I don't have anything. I'm not interested.
I'm not interested on the spread. A tiny prop, Terry McLaurin over 59.5 yards, minus 114. After a really bad, slow start, he's come on. And Howell, whether they're winning or losing, or it's rain or shine or snow or wind or not, he is just throwing the ball nonstop for better or worse. And against the Giants team that's kind of packed it in my opinion, and can't stop the pass, give me a little bit of Terry McLaurin on a meaningless, ugly game over 59.5.
Some scary Terry. Yeah.
Pretty much everywhere it's available because there's not a lot of line movement. I don't think people are very interested in this game. So
yeah, why would they be? I mean,
that's it. That's all I got.
Sam Howell versus Danny DeVito. Who cares?
Exactly. There you go.
2 teams going nowhere. All right, next game, Bucks 49ers. I have another pumped up prop on this one. I have Ayuk 100+ receiving yards. I got it at plus 300 at Caesars. I went with Ayuk last week. He didn't come through for me. Granted, Kittle had 116 yards on a 66-yard receiving touchdown. Kyle Juszczyk also had a receiving touchdown. He had 26 receiving yards. It's a little bit difficult for Ayuk to blow up when like the ancillary pieces, like normally Kittle, his role on offense is diminished when they have Debo and everybody healthy. He also only had 3 targets, which is by far the fewest amount he's had on the year. Every other game he's had at least 6. So that was clearly the outlier. And I do think that in this game, while the 49ers are probably going to blow out the Bucks, they're probably going to need to do it through the air. The Bucs have a really, really good running defense, but you can absolutely throw on them. 6th fewest rushing yards allowed per game, 7th lowest yards per carry, but they allow 266.9 passing yards per game, which is the 2nd most in the NFL. They also allow 7.3 yards per attempt and 11.4 yards per completion, which are both bottom 10 in the NFL. So Ayuk was not his game last week. We know with these 49ers weapons that they always have blow up potential. So yeah, that's one of my pumped up plays. Ayuk 100+ receptions. Real quick before you go, we have a comment here. Fred, first time tuning in. Welcome. What are you guys thinking on the Raiders plus 17.5? So we actually just talked about this game. We are both on the Dolphins minus 13.5. There is some wiggle room there if they, that is 2 key numbers, 14 and 17. So depending on what you get on the odds, I'm guessing you might need to juice that up because the main line is 13.5 or 14. It would make me nervous, but you are going over 2 key numbers from the 13.5 that we got. So I don't know if you have any additional thoughts.
No, I mean, the number is fine in itself. I just don't know what kind of odds you're getting there, and just if it sounds like plus 17.5, you'd be juiced. If you put that into some kind of parlay, then I don't blame you. I mean, that's a huge number to throw up there. But if you believe in the cigar smoking victories over bad teams kind of vibe that the Raiders have going right now, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. But I mean, yeah, as a straight play, no, I'd probably say I'd stick on the minus 14, minus 13.5 side of things as a straight play. But yeah, throwing it into a minor teaser or something, that's a key number, so I wouldn't blame you for that.
Yeah,
so it's a pretty large number to hang. So
above 2 key numbers, which is important. So all right, anyways, 49ers, Bucs, what do you got?
Very simple. 49ers over 27.5 team points. So I just see the Bucs having a lot of 3 and outs. I don't actually think it's asking a lot for the 49ers to basically get you 4 touchdowns in this game. So just keeping it simple. 49ers over 27.5 points, pretty close to even odds, minus 104 on Rivers. So I'm not even drinking much juice on that. So slog, yeah, sure, I see that. But I also think the 49ers are going to roll and get themselves right still. And I think they got they want to get their momentum back heading into the playoffs. So
I mean, the 49ers basically put up 30 points every game they play, except for like a weird 3-game stretch where Purdy was concussed. So yeah, I think that's good. All right, next up, Jets versus Bills. What do you have in this one?
Oh man, the Bills and Josh Allen. Holy cow.
What a train wreck.
I know, and this is why this is going to be difficult for me to say, but I would buy the dip and I would buy low here on the Bills. I think this is where people run away and this is where you buy. And I've had some of that pattern this year with some of these like teams that are supposed to be playoff contenders who crash and burn in some important game and then or a meaningless game against the Broncos, but it's still their season's kind of this. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean they're 5-5.
Yeah, they need to win here. Okay, so you're telling me 7.5 against the Jets team that can't score? Ugh. As much as I don't like it, I think you got to buy the dip. So I'm going to go Bills minus 7.5 on FanDuel. Everywhere I think it's minus 8, but FanDuel is still minus 7.5. I'm also going to take Josh Allen over 27.5 rushing yards, minus 115 on MGM. You have Dorsey out the door, who's become the scapegoat. They're saying play calling, sequencing of the plays, all this stuff. So I think with all the picks they've thrown, they're going to be a little skittish to air it out against the team that beat them. So I think they're going to keep it simple. They're going to throw it to Diggs 9,000 times. And if it's not Diggs or Kincaid, then Josh Allen's going to tuck and run over and over. I think this is a pretty low line in a game where they may go back to what worked for them last year. So Josh Allen over 27.5 rushing yards, minus 115 on BetMGM.
I am also buying the dip, but in a different way. I'm taking Stephon Diggs 100+ receiving yards, plus 215 at DraftKings. I really want to take his pumped up receptions, but no book is offering alternate lines. FanDuel has alt receptions for every other player in this game except for Diggs. I don't understand.
Yeah.
It's like they're scared off of it. But yeah, I mean, for your logic of buying the dip, to me, led them to, okay, they're going to why they fired Ken Dorsey, because the last 2 games, Stephon Diggs had 12 targets combined. In 8 games this year, prior to that, he had 11 or more targets in 6 of those games.
Yeah.
So what I think is going to happen is that he's going to get just peppered with targets. Okay. How it's similar to the DJ Moore thing, but just for different logic. It's like, how can we get our offense back on track?
Sure.
What does a new play caller do? Oh, I'm going to give my superstar receiver, who's a little bit of a head case, because every receiver is, I'm going to get him 15, 17, a million targets. So if at any point, because this is a 4 p.m. game, if FanDuel offers all receptions for Stephon Diggs, I'm going to hammer that. I'm going to take it up to 10. Right now, they're not offering it because they're horrified of it. So right now, the only official play is his receiving yards. And I get it that the Jets defense is awesome, but number one receivers have had success against them. In week 1, Stephon Diggs had 100 yards on 10 receptions. AJ Brown had 131 receiving yards against them. Both Devontae Adams and Keenan Allen went over their main line. Now, none of them blew up, but they went over their main line, so they hit their main receiving yards. And again, if it's just going to be the matter of them giving him a million targets. So if you want to wait and see if they offer alt receptions, I wouldn't blame you. I knew I wanted to target Diggs, so I didn't want to wait because I put this one out on YouTube on Friday, so I didn't want to wait for receptions to post. So I went with receiving yards, but I like both.
Nice. Yeah. So make sure you follow Matt on Twitter, guys. So at Jedi Modi, right? So be ready for that tweet when he's like, I see the alt lines open. Let him do the work. He'll let you know.
I hope FanDuel doesn't just puss out and not even offer it entirely. That would be very frustrating. All right, next game, Seahawks versus Rams, our second to last one of the slate. I have another receptions that I laddered up. This time I did Puka Nacua. Officially, I'm going to say take him 7+ 152 at FanDuel, but I personally laddered him up to 10.
Wow. Okay.
Similar to Fields, there is a little bit of concern here with him coming back from the injury. Both with Fields and with Stafford, the team said that like they could have played in their last game, but they wanted to be safe. Yeah. And especially with the Rams, they had the bye week in between. So, I mean, who knows how truthful the teams are being, but I'm going to guess that Stafford's going to be fine. Yeah. Obviously, Kupp is the top target, but Stafford still loves Puka. The Rams are probably going to need to pass a million times in this one, even if I'm not even saying that they're going to be losing the entire time, but the Seahawks pass defense is bad. Their run defense is good. And the Rams with Kyron Williams out just can't really, I mean, like Darrell Henderson has been fine, but they really can't run the ball. Yeah. And even with Kupp back, Puka has been good. And again, this isn't the exact same situation, but week 1, 49 was Seahawks Rams. Puka's coming out party, 10 receptions for 119 yards. Yeah. So even with Kupp back, I think there's enough targets to go around. And so I almost view Kupp and Puka as closer to 50-50 than what the books are offering. So I think you can find a lot of value on Puka.
Yeah, no, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. So for me, I don't have much strong feelings on this one. I didn't put any plays on this, but weirdly, if I leaned, I'd probably just roll with the Rams and just say, Stafford coming back, rested, they had time to game plan. Yeah, the run game's a problem, but I don't know. Even though home field's really not home field for the Rams, I guess it's really like a neutral site game every time they play at home.
Yeah, that is true.
Unfortunately, but I don't know. There's something I don't know what it is. I just look at this team and God, they have so many pieces, and you just can't get it to work. They just can't gel. You like you said, Puka. You have Cooper Kupp. You still have good pieces on defense. You have a legit arm in Stafford when he's healthy and not having 18 broken ribs and fingers. Yeah. But like, I don't know. If I had to, I'm going to stay away. So I'm not telling you to bet anything. But I'd actually be inclined to lean towards the Rams to just get one and get some nostalgia back from past better seasons here. So I'd say Rams lean, but I'm not gonna spend my hard-earned money on this one. So
yeah, no, that makes sense. All right, last game, Vikings Broncos Sunday Night Football. Or sorry, no, that's right, Vikings Broncos Sunday Night Football. What do you got in this one?
The opposite of what I said with the Bills. I'm going to sell on the Broncos after that amazing victory. So I would just take the Vikings to cover, and I'm going to go Vikings +3. I think, look, not even because of the Dobbs height. I mean, this matchup, I think there's some places where there's edges. You got the Vikings were going to dial up a ton of blitzes, and Flores is just going to keep the pressure coming on Wilson. And this is not the Russell Wilson of old, who used to be nimble and almost be like a Justin Fields. So I think the pressure is going to get to him. Not a terrible run D, so you're going to force this guy who has a broken arm to now throw in terms of Russell Wilson's broken arm. So I'll take the Vikings. I'll just take the Vikings to cover here, and I'll sell on this weird, unexpected high that the Broncos are on. I also like Hawkinson. I'll take Hawkinson over 54.5 yards. I've already bet that. Minus 114 on FanDuel. The Broncos have been horrible against tight ends. And Hawkinson, who is one of the best this season.
He's been awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to just give me a 54.5. I'll take Hawkinson. I'll have to look at Hawkinson TDs. So I might play that as well. I'm sure the value's been crushed ever since they announced that JJ's not playing for sure. So
yeah.
But those two I like for sure. So I'm going to be Vikings +3 and Hawkinson over 54.5 receiving yards.
I like both of those. I didn't have anything on the Vikings, but I agree with you. I think that they're going to win straight up. So I probably will dabble. I took Josh Dobbs rushing yards 50+. His main line's like high 30s. I just took him to get to an even 50 plus 285 at Caesars. Nice. He's been running a lot. He's only had 50 or more rushing yards twice, but he's had 40 or more in every other game except for 2. So basically his floor, aside from 2 outliers, is 40 yards. So if you wanted to be a little bit safer and just take him to get to 40, I wouldn't blame you. I just like getting it for a little bit juicier odds. Your win percentage needs to be lower, all that stuff.
Sure.
Let's see. So right now you can get 40 plus at plus 154 at FanDuel if you wanted to be safer. I also like the fact, so he's had 6+ carries in every single game, including both games as a member of the Vikings. 2 weeks ago against the Falcons, he had 7 rushing attempts for 66 yards. Last week he had 8, but only for 44. In the Broncos defense, it's not as like they're 70 point just when they got annihilated and allowed 70 points. Their advanced stats, their all stats, everything makes it look like they're a lot worse than they are. They've been better recently. So I don't think that the Vikings are just going to have, like, I think that they're going to be, especially with Justin Jefferson out, Josh Dobbs is going to need to rely on his legs a little bit more. I do love the TJ Hawkinson angle for sure. I think he could have success. But I think like in a quarterback like Dobbs, without his number one, I guess not, he hasn't even played with him, but without the Vikings number one receiver, still new to the team and playing against a better defense than expected, I can't think of the word. Just your instinct is to run is what I'm looking for. Your instinct is to run. So that's what I think is going to happen. Apparently Fanatics has alt receptions for Diggs. Is Fanatics PointsBet? Are they the same thing? Didn't Fanatics acquire PointsBet?
You're right. I think so. I think in Illinois, I think they're slated to change the name, just like how, Barstool became ESPN Bet.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know when the transition is going to happen, but I hope once the transition happens that Fanatics will say, we actually want people who gamble to be able to gamble versus just limiting people who happen to win a handful of bets. So
I agree. And I looked it up. I guess Fanatics is live. I don't know if they're PointsBet or not, but Fanatics is only live in Kentucky, Massachusetts, Maryland, Ohio, Tennessee, and West Virginia. So anybody in those states, you can get alt receptions for Diggs. If you are in one of those states, take that all the way up to 10. Just obviously lower your unit size as you go up in receptions. But if he doesn't get there for yards, I think he's going to get peppered. So Nathan D, appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, Nathan.
Appreciate you pointing that out. I guess in Colorado, I didn't know, and I guess you're in Illinois, so you can't use Fanatics either.
Yeah, not yet.
But all right. That's every game. Now it's time for degeneracy. So before we do our parlays, similar to your Devon Achane degenerate play, I have one as well. Tank Dell leads Sunday in receiving yards, plus 3,500 at DraftKings.
Ooh, wow. All right.
They really, really limited me on this one. They only let me get $10 on this one. So DraftKings is scared.
Okay. Okay.
And Tank Dell he's boom or bust. He's gone 158. He's gone over 100. All the other receivers, it's like Tyreek Hill is your best bet, but I don't know. Like if the Dolphins are up 21-0 at the end of the first quarter. Maybe Tyreek Hill doesn't go off for 200
Sure.
yards. They don't need to pass the entire time.
Man,
So
I like it. I'll throw $7 on it right now just to ride with you and put that on my Pickett transparency list. So, all right. So $7 on that. There we go. Tank Dell. Ooh, let's go. So we're rooting for Tank Dell and Achane. Huh? So.
Tank Dell and Achane. That's right. 2 rookies. 2 rookies.
Rookie leader day, guys. Come on. All right. I like it.
All right. So now it's time for our parlays. So trying to think, I forgot to note what plays that we both liked. I'm in on Hawkinson. So if we want to do something with Hawkinson, I like that one a lot.
Yeah, I think we were all over the map today. We didn't have a ton in terms of props or even lines or anything. We were kind of all over, sprinkling on random angles today. So
yeah, that is true. So let's say we do Hawkinson.
Sure.
I say we get it up to plus money, 60+ receiving yards, just to get the odds a little bit juicier.
Yeah. Okay. I like that.
Was there any? I didn't love a lot of the touchdowns. And this year, I've honestly just cooled entirely.
Oh yeah, you've seen me too. I think we didn't even talk about it, but both of us have independently after like week 1 and 2, we started just kind of saying
because the scoring is down. It's way too much. It's way too yeah. I don't know. Words are hard for me this morning, but it's way too unreliable for touchdowns. Yeah. That's why I've been falling in love with the pumped up props because at least I can get some of those to hit, unlike touchdowns. I just have not gotten there.
And there's no shame in that. I mean, that's smart because it's like I think you and I have been a little bit more selective when we're like, oh, like some guy who should be a no-brainer. Like we got, like, I think it was like Montgomery last time, like to get him at plus money. We're like, there's value there then. Fine. Right. You know what I mean? I think we've been a lot more selective in that. So
he's also a good bet today as well, but not on FanDuel, on Fliff. If you have Fliff, he's minus 110 to score. I meant to mention that earlier. You just reminded me. But anyways,
Hawkinson 60. I think both of us seem to agree. I don't know if we want to do it, but like I think we both thought, maybe we don't, because we're also playing that long shot of Cardinals, Texans. I was just going to say we could even just take the regular line for the over. You seem pretty confident that that's going to be a high scoring game. So
yeah. I mean, we could do that. I don't know.
Stay away since we already have that. We want them on that long shot prop to be high scoring anyway. I don't think we want to put too many eggs in the same basket. So
yeah, and I try to get at least something for plus money, unless we did like 50 plus, but I don't like the main lines are so hammered down to like exactly that. I don't like taking all main lines unless you do it in a teaser and you do the opposite. You make it safer.
Yeah. How about I'm trying to think here. I didn't bet it personally but I liked your angle, the Gibbs over on receiving. Is there an alt line where we can get a little higher than the main line for plus money? Or I don't hate that either.
So Gibbs alt receiving. So they only go 25 up to 40.
Oof.
I would want to get 30.
Yeah, that's a big jump. So maybe not that. Maybe not.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else we can do here.
So the ones that I liked, and just you could tell me which ones you like and don't like. DJ Moore, Ayuk, Tank Dell, Puka, Diggs, and that was it. And then I guess Achane. Like I don't hate the Achane angle either.
How about DJ Moore? I think I really think the Bears will be playing behind for a chunk of the game at least. And you're right. I think even though I dogged on my Bears, like I think a lot of people's jobs are on the line. Eberflus, Getsy, Justin Fields' future is in the question. That who knows next week or the weeks after, like this could be a pivotal games for the Bears' future for staff and players. Like you're playing a top 5 team, show us, like prove it to us. So let's roll with DJ Moore. Out of those ones, I think this is like there's so much pressure on the Bears to perform today. That
do you like receptions or yards? So we could do 6+ receptions for plus 162.
Okay.
Or we could do 70+ yards for plus 116.
Man, that's a good question. Oh,
it's tough because it's like, is he going to be a deep threat? Is he going to be like catching a bunch of screens like that? Sometimes I know that I like yards over receptions. sometimes
know.
I
If
can't.
it was Bajent, I would go receptions because you saw
Yeah,
what was happening. 8,000 lateral passes to DJ Moore
yeah,
just to get him involved, right? Like,
yeah.
oh man, that is tough.
My personal play was on the. It was actually no. I took both, so never mind. This isn't one of those.
Maybe we go yards. Maybe we go
Okay,
yards on this one. Maybe we go yards on it.
let's do it. All right. So we have Hawkinson 60 plus yards. This is receiving. DJ Moore 70 plus receiving yards. So let's get one or two more.
Yeah.
Let's see. So again, the other ones that I had were Puka, Tank Dell, Ayuk, Diggs, and then Dobbs rushing. But we don't have to. We don't have to go with any of the ones that I like. We could choose a totally different one.
I like the Tank Dell one. I think it is going to be a high scoring game, and I think they won't steer away from the pass until like the fourth quarter. So why don't we just throw a Tank Dell? Whatever. Where is that point where he gets plus money? We get plus odds on that.
So it's 60 plus for exactly even money.
How about 70?
70 for plus 152.
Let's do 70.
Okay.
Let's do 70.
And that gets us to plus 10 or plus 1,043 odds.
There you go. 3 receivers.
Three receivers, 60, 70, 70. That's all we need.
Simple. I
all
like
right,
it.
Let me lock this in screenshot so I can tweet it out. And now I think we need a total absurdly. So I guess we do kind of have that already, but if we want to go like a total absurdly degen for like, I'm talking like $5. Like
okay.
Like give us a plus 20,000 play again.
What? Okay. What if we did the Dowdle TD?
Okay. Yeah.
Achane TD.
All right. Let's do this. So we got Achane. He is at, where is this? Anytime touchdown. Achane is plus 135. That's actually not as good as I would have thought.
No, it's not as good as I would have thought. Actually,
but that's all right. Actually, this is only on FanDuel. I should line shot for this because FanDuel is the best with alternate plays, but for touchdowns, it could be best offered somewhere else. So bear with me for a sec.
I'm trying to think who else.
All right. So Dowdle is one. Where the fuck is he? No, Tommy Trumbull today.
Not today,
Okay.
because they're actually playing a good team.
Yeah, that's fair. Achane. Oh, this is probably going to be best offered on FanDuel, but oh well. All right. So I kind of we haven't talked about him at all. We talked about this game a ton. Maybe we don't want to do one in the same game, but I kind of like Trey McBride for the Cardinals. He's been really good.
Yeah, he has actually. He has.
He's 190, so he's not crazy long shot.
I don't hate that though, because I do think that'll be a high scoring game. So
yeah.
Dowdle, Achane, McBride. I forgot about him.
T. McBee. So let's see. All right. As of right now, it's best. Yeah, it's best offer. Wait, that can't be right. Right now, it says this is on FanDuel for plus 2,400. That's what OddsJam is. That's what OddsJam is for the three of them, for Achane, Dowdle, and McBride.
What? No, that doesn't sound right.
I think I shouldn't even give OddsJam free marketing, but I think they're giving me the wrong odds. Let's see.
Let's see here.
No, that is for those three plus 24-21.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, then I don't know that we have to add too many more then.
Do we want to get to do we want to stick with it, or do you want to get to like plus 5,000?
Gosh, unless, if you see maybe, the odds makers are saying they think Bears lines are going to be high scoring, right? So I'm trying to think of one.
So what about like Fields runs one in?
Fields runs one in. Yeah. That's if I go with my scramble theory, right?
Yeah, exactly. So if we do that, plus 9,000.
Okay. All right. I'm sold.
All right.
I don't think there's many scoring options for the Bears besides DJ Moore and Fields, honestly. So
yeah, unless you want to go with Kmet, but I think I think the Lions are really good against tight ends, if I remember correctly.
I think they're decent against them. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so we got a D-Gen one and we got a reasonable one. Even the reasonable one's at 1,000 though, so that's nice. So
Yeah. All right, let me take this screenshot as well. Cool. All right. Any last FanDuel specials? Every team kicks an extra point that hits the post today. Anything you
No. I think I think the eight. I'm really hoping Achan's not a dud today. So that's the one I felt really good about that one. I'm feeling better and better about your Tank Dell one. So I think we got plenty of 4-figure ones for today. We even threw that audible in with the highest scoring game of Texans
Yeah, that's
Cardinals,
true.
which we
I
found
forgot
some on
about
the
that
fly
one.
even. So we got a plus 500, we got a plus 1,500, we got a plus 3,500. I think if my Asian math is correct, that adds up to a lot of odds. So I think
That is the official calculation is a lot of
yes,
odds.
we've scratched the D-Gen itch for our D-Gen followers. I think enough for today. So
Yeah. I mean, if we get one of those to hit, then we can brag about that. So
exactly.
cool. All right. Well, appreciate everybody for tuning in. Fred, Nathan, thank you for the comments. Andrew, thank you as always for joining me. I'm guessing probably not next week because it's Thanksgiving Sunday, but we will have to we'll have to see it. I don't
Just
know if
let
I'll
me
be able
know.
to do it.
Let me know.
We'll be in touch. But yeah, appreciate everybody for joining. Let's all win our bets today.
Sounds good.